Paris. She's also a teacher and mother of three, member of Ballyhay campaign group, which has protested against the bank debt burden for over 3 years. She's proposing a motion that the Limerick Spring Assembly calls for the ECB to allow a one-stop exemption from monetary finance and to allow the CB, to the central bank, to destroy the 25 billion in sovereign bonds issued in February of last year in lieu of the remaining promissory notes, plus the 6.06 billion bond also being held by the central bank payment of 2005 promissory.
I'm not here talking as any kind of financial expert tonight. I'm here because I'm a mother of three and I'm growing ever increasingly concerned at the widening inequality in our society, which I see being caused by the bank debt burden. Over 3 years ago, the then newly elected government assumed power, and almost immediately they did a complete and utter U-turn on all the now infamous pre-election promises that they made us. I mean, I don't know how many of you remember the famous phrases, not another red cent to Anglo-Irish Bank, or Labour's way, or Frankfurt's way. I remember that, and I remember that they broke every one of those promises. In response to this, a man named Jim O'Flynn, who's sitting here in the front row, began a protest in Ballyhay, County Cork. It's a weekly march, it's still going strong, and we march in protest against the bank debt burden every Sunday morning at 10:30. 12 months ago, we made a change, and our protest group morphed into a campaign group. We went to Brussels, where we met Sharon Bowles, who's the chairperson of the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee. We met Ishtan Shakay, who's the man who signed off on our budgets at the European Commission. Shannon Valley, who's an economic advisor to President Herman Van Rompuy. We also met with Central Bank Governor Patrick Honohan and two top-ranking ECB officials. Everywhere we went, we found it necessary to debunk two big lies. The first one was that the Irish people were bailed out. Now that's simply not true. We got bailout loans in the region of about 64 billion euro. We have put almost 70 billion euro into our banks. So who got bailed out? It wasn't the Irish people, it was the banks. The people got screwed. To our shame, it's the old, it's the children, it's the sick, it's the disabled, it's the most vulnerable people in our society who are carrying the cost of this bank debt burden. And why? We're paying back a failed banking debt, a debt that was never ours. The most odious part of this debt is now our prime focus, and that's the promissory note aspect of the debt. That brings me to the second big lie. The promissory notes are all gone away, nicely dealt with, and we got a great deal. Now it's true that Anglo-Irish Bank was liquidated, and technically it took the promissory notes with it. But sovereign bonds were created to replace these promissory notes, and they're held in the central bank now awaiting sale. Only last week we heard that the ECB is putting pressure on the central bank to accelerate the sale schedule. Nobody really wants to talk about the promissory notes, but let's be very clear. The bonds that replaced them will be sold on, and the money that comes in will be immediately destroyed. We pay interest on it. I believe the technical term is paying the coupon. And when the bonds mature, we have to repay that money. What was a transparent payment of just over 3 billion every March is now a much more secretive deal stretching out into the years ahead. It's a game. It's a game of extend and pretend. The 30 billion will end up being about 72 billion, a conservative estimate. My daughter, who's 4, will be facing into middle age by the time this debt is sorted out. A debt that was created to bail out a failed zombie bank, a debt that has never benefited any of the Irish people. Not 1 cent of it was put into our schools, our hospitals, to help the sick, the disabled, nothing. It was a failed bank's debt. In September of last year, we submitted a petition to the Petitions Committee of the European Parliament. And in November, the Technical Group United presented a private member's motion on our behalf. It was a mild motion. They asked the government to ask the ECB for debt write-down, to write off these promissory note bonds. The government response was clear. They will not ask. It's a legal debt now, we're told. There's nothing we can do. But we always say that that which is morally wrong can never be made legally right, and bad law always has to be challenged. And so it's down to us, it's down to the people. As a campaign group, we continue to march. We march tomorrow morning at 10:30 in Ballyhale. We continue to march. We continue to campaign in Europe. We continue to ask for debt write-down. On the 23rd of May, Diarmuid O'Flynn will put himself on the line and on the ballot paper as an independent MEP candidate. And we ask that the Limerick Spring Assembly supports us and calls on the ECB to do the right thing, to allow the central bank to write off the Promissory Note Bonds. It will give our country a chance. Imagine what we could do with that 30 billion. Thank you.